Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are now today. My name is Daniel Fernandez, Head of Business Development and Market Data at Sys Exchange. And today, I'm the moderator of this great panel. Thank you to BridgeWise for the invitation. So today, the agenda is quite exciting. It's everything about finance and AI intersection. The title of the webinar today is the Next Gen Investment Experience, how AI is changing the game. So I think everyone by now, since the launch of ChatGPT 2022, has democratized the access to AI tools. And since then, I think all the consumer expectations from us, speaking personally, and everyone else has changed a lot since then. Today, in this webinar, we're gonna take 4 interesting topics, and roughly gonna take 12 to 15 minutes, each of them. And I will leave the questions at the end. So please, if you are having some questions, just put in the chat group. We're gonna get the questions. So without further ado, let's start with the introduction. So we have Dor Eligula from BridgeWise. BridgeWise is an investment research company leveraging AI technology, based in Tel Aviv, and already with a successful exit in his entrepreneurship life. And on the other side, we have Shai Heftet, which is Director of Quantitative Investment Strategy at eToro. And he looks at all the initiatives of AI and machine learning, and he develops as well as strategies on investment on that side. And I can take the opportunity as well to congratulate him and his team about the IPO recently, this 2025. So, gentlemen, if we just kick off today with the first topic, which will be the investors' expectations in the AI. So, what happened about the investors? So, the feeling is that investors is no longer just about automating tasks or doing analytics. As I just mentioned before, they're looking for more clarity, speed, relevance, or even more adjust services to them. So how the expectations are changing? And probably I can start with you, Shai, asking you how these key trends do you see of investors in the market? How they have been changing, and how is the interaction with AI tools that you are developing?
So we're seeing a clear momentum towards increased adoption of AI-powered tools among our investors. While the initial interactions were cautious, largely due to the early limitations such as hallucinations in LLMs and lack of up-to-date data, the recent advancements, especially the emergence of AI agent, agentic AI, alongside real-time awareness and reasoning, have changed the game. Today, investors are experimenting with AI not only to generate trade ideas, but to build, refine, and monitor entire portfolios. It's becoming a core part of their decision-making toolkit for many. The trend is unmistakable, in my view. AI is shifting from a novelty to an absolute necessity for the investor itself.
Great, Shai, for sharing. And how you have changed, have you seen that's a big change to all your clients at the moment, or the feeling on the investors, or is just a small percentage of clients that, well, they are in the front run of innovation and looking at AI tools, or now you feel that is the whole average people looking at this? Let's call it like the more traditional investors.
So I think we can break it down by age groups. So when we're looking at the younger generation, you can see regardless of they're a novice or experienced investors, they're playing with AI tools. Absolutely, we're looking at roughly 100% penetration rate of AI tools. When it comes to the older generation, I would say, the 60 and 70 plus, you can see a slower rate of adoption, but still, we still see some rate of adoption there, but just at a slower pace and in a more cautious fashion.
Okay, and what would be just to get a feedback on average, what it will be the feedback in terms of what they like from AI? What is the main driver for them?
So the main driver is to make better investment decisions. Everyone is looking for the holy grail. I don't know if AI has the holy grail, but they're definitely looking for it just there.
Yes, exactly.
Could not agree more.
Thank you, Dor. With that, I bring you to the conversation. So you're traveling the world in Asia, Europe, and even Latam. So how do you see financial institutions using these AI tools, and how you be seeing this evolving ecosystem now?
I guess I'll take what I just said and I will call and raise. What we see, and of course, I think eToro is in the front, is in the forefront of that trend or that shift, because it's not only, time limited to now, but it will really, I believe, upgrade the way investors and traders do what they do and take decisions in the market. So we are seeing a major shift in the priorities or in the, let's say, agenda of brokers, trading platforms, and generally speaking, service providers in the capital markets. In the past, it has been a marketplace where, again, a broker, a trading platform could provide, execution services, connectivity to the markets, etc., etc. But now financial platforms are no longer just that. They are more and more focused on the experience their clients and their users have. And that of course, helps the trust. And of course, in the end of the day, the business grow. Also, from the other side, we see that what the clients expect from their service providers is growing. It's not only an execution platform, but they want their platforms to provide decision support tools, or support tools on all of the activities they do on the platform. Support could be, of course, human and more AI driven. It could be automated portfolios. It could be many things that can help the investors and traders do what they do better. Another thing, of course, that you need to add on top of that is that AI is developing very quickly. So every assumption we see today, of course, is cannot be taken for too long, because the technology is evolving very fast. And I think that we'll see major upgrades. I like always to say upgrades and not disruptions to the way and I'm saying as a human, yeah, we humans take and get services, especially in financial services, and AI will take more and more, not only on decision support, but actually on the way we engage with the markets, we engage with our investment portfolios, we engage with everything that we do with our, let's say, financial well-being.
Yeah, thank you, Do. And because you are looking at these two segments, right? When you speak investors, that seems to be a very general thing, but if we segment it a little bit, because you are fortunate enough to see what is looking at the investors, individual investors, let's say, versus the professional investors in advisory. Do you see that they have the common grounds, or they are very different, going in different directions? What would you take on those?
So I guess I think it's a great question, and the answer is not clear, but again, we have a general idea of what we believe is going to happen. And so it's not different directions, but it's the same direction, in different ways. Of course, the job to be done for retail or self-directed investors or traders is, they are more speedy. They want simplicity and clarity when they make decisions, either for idea validation, idea generation. They are very precise about what they want from their platforms, and AI can definitely be of a great assistance there. Unlike that, or in some way different, advisors and relationship managers, etc., they need it as a tool to provide better service, as again with the human touch, of course. It can help the advisors, enhance their conversations, and of course help to scale the personalization experience, or the hyper personalized experience of the client. And as you know, and Shai knows, and I believe all of the audience knows, that we are in BridgeWise, we are focused on building both sides of that equation, or of that coin, while being able to dive into deeper outlook of specific information while making investment decisions, either fundamental, technical, via chat, via alerts, it doesn't really matter. And of course, being able to personalize it for advisors, etc. We do all of that in one very big and robust engine. It's a big challenge, but also a big blessing.
Very good, very good. So probably we can take the phrase of Shai saying that I mean, the main purpose of professionals and non-professional investors will be to have a better investment decision, right? Quickly and faster. So moving to the next topic, which is very, very interesting, is the shift toward assistive AI. So we know the old paradigm in retail platforms on online trading was showing charts with nice colors and just having access to the market, right? That would be for the segment of 60s and 70s that Shai was mentioning before. Just having access to the market was a good, nice thing to have, the extra thing. So, but now we are moving to more, with AI, we can do more like guide and help the decision taking and investments, which means we're moving more towards an assistive AI, helping in that process making. So I go back to you, Dor. You built an assistant AI in that regard, which so what kind of best of behavior inspired the design of Bridget?
So I believe that in late 2022, when we all started playing with ChatGPT, the beauty of ChatGPT or like is the thing that it's in the palm of our hand. Where in the past you needed to query information via search engines, and it was easy, but yet you had more friction compared to the chat experience where you just you shoot your question in free language and you get the answer spot on very fast. So I think it helped everyone, either if you are tech savvy or not. You can understand the value and it's very accessible. The access is what helps us. Is what pushed us to creating Bridget, because we understood that part of the BridgeWise vision of providing better access, better, hence the name BridgeWise, to bridge that wisdom gap that investors have. We thought that also not only the information that BridgeWise creates, but the way we serve it to the users is the thing that inspired us in designing Bridget. And it's in the core of what we do, because in the end of the day, the main challenge that we face, again, with the traditional off-the-shelf LLMs is the fact they don't have the specific needs that our industry brings to the table, which is, of course, connection to market data, but even more importantly, the know-how to analyze, things to our niche in investments, because, you need to have that know-how in order to provide reasonable insights. And the most important thing, being able to be compliant and to avoid any kind of hallucinations. I guess we'll tackle that going forward. But to be a niche focused, a very big niche, but a niche focused AI that could bring everything that I just mentioned to the table, that's the thing that both inspired us and, even more importantly, showed us that there is a big opportunity here.
Yeah, thank you, Lord. I think our administrator here is sharing some interesting slides, but I think it's Bridget here, able to interact, very user-friendly, that you can type some questions and get some answers. So when you present this kind of tools and in the industry, how is the feedback? How is the platform thinking about this? Is like an exciting opportunity? They're curious about it. It's in the forefront of innovation. How do they see this kind of interaction? I think everyone uses the ChatGPT. I use it all the time just for my Word documents and stuff, but this is one step forward, right?
So from my experience, most of the organizations are super excited and super happy about this kind of innovative tools, and that's why a very big organization like eToro has very talented executives like Shai leading those initiatives. But of course, some of them are cautious. But I think what Bridget brings to the table, as again, it runs on the screen and it shows, again, from the excitement side, there's clear value. Again, you can see the query on the screen as it runs. the level of expertise, the level of resources an average investor, again, either professional and retail, we need to put in to get these kind of insights, it would take hours, not mentioning the expertise they need to have. And having it in the palm of your hand inside your brokerage app or inside your bank app really helps both the bank and of course the users or the broker, of course. Like it helps both the business and the client, because the more empowered the user is, the more happy they are with the platform. And in the end of the day, again, the excitement is going more bigger and bigger as technology evolves, as you just said. And the more BridgeWise and our ability to provide a very sustainable product, both on the regulation, compliance, and of course technology side, really helps the cautious part to go, let's say, smaller and smaller. It is still challenging, but again, as a global company, I'm sure that we'll be able to crack it all across.
Speaking about these global companies, let's bring Shai now and ask him how do they look at the AI tools that provide guidance and versus investor autonomy? How they do define what's the guidance, or how you assess probably the add value of the AI journey for you? And Shai, how do you do this?
So first of all, we truly believe in assistive and not prescriptive models. Our philosophy is to equip investors with powerful insights, but never to replace their judgment. Think of it as pull and not push. We make the service available, clearly explain its strengths, its limitation, and let the investor decide how and when to use it. Naturally, we find, as I said before, that younger, more tech-native investors are more open to these assistive tools, especially those who already use AI in other areas of life. But across all demographics, there's a growing appetite. As long as the tools are framed with transparency and choice, and this is key, and this is, I think, what BridgeWise does very well, where they provide the domain expertise in investing and provide a clearly compliant rather than a generic approach. Now, when it comes to the adoption of AI by institutions, not by individuals, and institutions are considering, should we adopt AI? Should we start using AI? I kind of look at it as someone who's running a horse and carriage service and is thinking, what are these cars? Should be using them? Is it a threat to us? So put yourself in that frame. If you're running a horse and carriage service, AI is the car. And I think there's no question about what action one should take, in my view, at least.
Yeah, and going on my next question on that segment, and using the example of the car, how do you investors will define assistive? How you assistive? Let's say in the car, do you have a flat screen, GPS, sound? What is the main features? We'll say this is assistive, and this is not assistive. This is something that we're not going to take on consideration.
Okay, so I think you draw the line if there's a human in the loop or not. If you're allowing AI to take all the decisions from ideation all the way down to execution, that's not assistive AI. That's takeover. I'm not saying good or bad, I'm just defining that's taking over. Assistive AI is where there's a human in the loop, at least in one or more interjunctions, right? It can be at the ideation phase, so the human provides the idea and the AI takes it all the way. Or it can be the other way around. Let the AI provide the idea, but fall short of execution and allow the human to take the final step of saying, you know what, I understand, it makes sense, I will now execute it or instruct you to execute on my behalf, right? AI can complete the loop. But the question is there a break at some point where the human steps in?
Very good, very good. I think this is like a Tesla example, back to the cars example. So while you are driving there, it's fine. Then if you let it drive by itself 100% of the time, then it's not anymore assistive. It's taking over to you. So anything you want to share, Dor, from Shai, probably
I think we'll come to a point where, again, we, the users, like the clients, I don't like the word users, I like the word clients of those platforms, will decide. And I think, as Shai said, and I totally agree, the platforms would be able, like, to provide the tools, and the clients would tune on how they want to use these tools. It could be potentially managing your funds. It could, of course, advice, or it could be only a decision support tool. But the clients will be the ones that will decide, while the platforms, I guess, will do more and more on that front to enable those tools or to provide those tools as services, and the clients will have to decide eventually.
Right. Interesting thoughts. I think we can spend the whole day speaking about these dilemmas, but we need, unfortunately, to move to the next topic, which is institutional adoption and build versus buy dilemma. So let me bring this time again to you, Dor. So in the market, right? I mean, either you can build very quickly, you can build it in-house, or you can go outside and do the building for you. So when you're speaking with institutions, what are the characteristics they're asking for this kind of tools to be pre-configured versus they created themselves?
Yeah. So divide versus develop. That's that's the dilemma, the ever-going dilemma of executives and management teams. And I think the more we see that a dilemma in big organizations globally, that dilemma is, again, maybe I'm biased, naturally I am, but I see more and more decisions going to the buy side versus develop because of three main things. One, and of course, again, I'm speaking on behalf of BridgeWise, but so I'm biased again, but being able to do it fast is so three factors is speed, quality, and assurance. Okay, so speed. Organizations, because technology and client demand moves quick, organizations need to move quick. They want to do it now. They cannot develop for months, because by the time they will develop and they'll do all of the QA, and it will be already outdated. The velocity of the technology is so massive that you need to do it fast, and organizations do understand it, so they need to take not off the shelf, but something that is turnkey, relatively speaking. Then is the quality. Being able to do not only fast, but in high quality takes a lot of resources, but also expertise. And again, developing it internally will take massive amounts of resources to do it. And you don't even know whether you'll be successful in the end. So being able, again, to take a turnkey solution will not only be faster, and you have more, again, quality almost for sure, but from an assurance perspective, you as a management team can say, okay, this has been tried out by other organizations, therefore it must be a fit. Now, adding on top of that, again, the compliance and regulation factor that some organizations don't even want to deal with. So all of these three factors really brings not only BridgeWise, but again, if we look at our niche and other niches potentially. So niche AIs, according to our thesis, will prevail victorious, let's say, especially in those niches that you need it there. It's not like an off-the-shelf cosmetics over GPT or like. And that would lead to building sustainable solutions to clients, and not, one and done kind of quick success, and then it's, everyone forgets.
Yeah, it's an ongoing effort and evolving very, very fast. But I want to see Shai, because I think he has a lot of experience in AI, building models, machine learning. So he really did the nitty-gritty details of these technologies. And so how do you assess this from your side? What it means when you will say, oh, hey, I need to develop this. It's very, like, we can do it, and it's more efficient to do it by ourselves, versus this might be interesting to buy outside than internally, Shai?
So that's a great question. So the key question we ask ourselves is this a core competency of my firm? If an AI capability aligns closely with your long-term strategic differentiation, like investment insights derived from data, we lean towards building it eternally. But if it's supporting function where a partner has a clear domain leadership, we're open to collaborating, integrating with best-in-class solution. It's not a binary decision. In many cases, you can blend approaches. And what makes a solution strategic is whatever it enables you to deliver unique value at scale that others can't easily replicate. If you can do that, then you need to build it yourself. If it's not strategic, then it's better to buy it because resources are limited and you need to direct your resources where you can actually make a difference. So if you want, I can give you context of example. For example, like, company like eToro, when it comes to investment agents, that's our core business. We can't outsource an investment agent. That's what we do. But an agent on a CRM system, that's not our core competency. We're not a CRM company. There's Salesforce, there's NetSuite, there's so many others. So I don't need to build my own AI for CRM because that I will partner with someone else.
Yes, so probably developing a little bit in that example, I mean, you will be developing more AI strategies in terms of investing and the process of investing, clearing orders, smarter orders probably.
Correct, exactly. So where are our core competencies, which is dealing, trading, investments, and strategies, this is where we will go and try to, and we will go and build a core competency ourselves, which can be a differentiating factor in our space. But where we understand we can partner with someone else, such as BridgeWise or others, we will go and leverage their specific capabilities.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good. I taken a lot of notes, and I think people have a lot of notes. We have a lot of questions, but that's for the end in this topic as well. So very, very good. Anything else you might share here? Any final thoughts going then to the last topic? If not, let's bring to the last topic, which is, of course, the future investment journey. So let's imagine now, 5 years from now, how it's going. I mean, at the beginning, I was thinking a question about 10 years, but 10 years seems to be like 2 lives, right? So let's imagine the next 3 to 5 years, because ChatGPT just got 3 years, right? So let's imagine 3 to 5 years, how to envision long-term in AI, in an AI industry today, how to envision the clients, how the expectations, and I think very important, how the expectations that is that the clients will think about it. And probably we can continue that conversation with you, Shai, that you say that it will change. You said at the beginning, it is changing and you not need to have it. And the youngster people now, which are like 20 to 30 segment that you define a little bit at the beginning, will be in 35, 40, and not even mention about the people 15 years old that will be part of your clients in the next 5 years.
Absolutely. So I think tomorrow's investors, particularly the digital natives, will expect AI to be embedded by default. They won't ask for AI tools. They'll assume they're already part of the experience, just like search recommendations today. But in our specific domain, in terms of, let's talk about investment advice, for example, right? I do believe that in our domain, AI will outperform many human advisors in areas like data processing, pattern recognition, and speed. And in some cases, it already does. But human oversight remains crucial for judgment, empathy, contextual understanding. So ultimately, I think the future is hybrid. AI does the heavy lifting, while the humans will continue to provide oversight, validation, and nuanced decision-making.
Good. So that's a comforting message for, I'm based in Switzerland. So for my friends and colleagues, private bankers, that human is very important in this part of in the process. Very good. So Dorn, a little bit moving to you as well. How do you see this change in investors coming? I think you can deep dive as well between non-professional and professional investors.
So I guess professional, let's start with the easier part of the equation. So professional investors, again, would use the AI as more of, again, an assisting as heavy lifting, and heavy lifting. I totally agree with Shai on this point, because they have their magic touch and they don't want to say that the AI has it. So it's a combination of, both admitting on whether the AI can do a better work or not. That's on the professional side. But on the retail side, and I think, to be honest, 5 years is too long to predict, because we cannot even predict what will happen in 3 years. But that's a 100 and even more, $100 billion question, maybe, the future of investment in financial services. We will see, and I totally again agree with Shai, that we'll see not an AI enabled experience, but an AI experience point. Meaning that the interfaces we interact with today would have to dramatically upgrade themselves, and it will be AI compliant. Okay, organizations will become AI compliant, and services will become AI compliant. And this means that, again, it's not only automation and alerts and recommendations, but it's the whole conversation, quote unquote, with the platform will be done with AI. Again, can be coaching, it can be more and more contextual support, but it will be scalable, it will be hyper personalized. So potentially, my eToro would be different than the Shai eToro, okay, and Daniel's eToro, because we are two different consumers, we are two different clients. And it will help me review my portfolio and plan going forward. So both on the investment side and again on the whole user experience side, it will be fully hyper personalized, all powered by AI, not even enabled. Of course, there are risks and that are tagged with this kind of vision. But I believe those companies, both again the providers like us, and vendors, and of course the platforms themselves, will have to distinguish between the ones that are capable of doing it the right way at scale, of course. Would have to, that these will be decisions that will cost a lot, either success or failure. And we believe we are on the right side of the equation, of course, but that's for the future to decide.
Yes. And let me bring with that point to Shai again to this point, because I think the hyper personalization is a trend that we see every single day. I see it with Netflix. My Netflix is different from my children's Netflix and from my wife's Netflix. So how do you see that, Shai, the hyper personalization in the investment process, or for the retail investor or for the investors?
So every individual is very unique and they have their own specific circumstances. As a result, unlike before, I think we're going to see personalized wealth management at scale. What was once the privilege of the rich and wealthy to have a personalized investment manager that understands you, understands your circumstances, and provides you with customers and personalized advice, is now ready for the masses. So even if you have $50,000 in the bank and you want to know how to invest them, you will get a personalized experience. Of course, with $50,000, you're very limited in what you can do, but still, let's talk about someone with, say, $1 million. You can't go to a family office that will manage your wealth with $1 million. You need 100 times that to go to a family office. But with $1 million, you still have opportunities and you can optimize, and then you can generate income, growth, there's a balance, and you're looking also at your properties and your pension. And today, you can actually create an agent that will replace and give you a holistic, completely personalized service. Now, that's not good news for the people in Switzerland. But we have to be honest, this is where it's going.
If I may
Yeah,
jump
Timur,
in,
please.
I think we said that, like in the previous discussion questions, I mentioned that the users will have to tune on how much they want the AI to be involved. So I think also on the private banking advice process, there will be solutions like BridgeWise that would enable A to Z, but some organizations would like to say, listen, I want you to stop on the 60% mark. Okay, I want to be the one that speaks to the client, but the whole again back stage work and heavy lifting, as Shai mentioned, will be done by the AI. Where I will do my magic touch with the again, because I know the client, I know their background, I know their the name of their father and children and etc. So this kind of and which football club they're like. So these kind of things would be done not only on the user side, I mean the tuning of how the AI is being used, but also on the business side, let's say the more commercial, institutional side, that could be applied in the same exact way. Again, both organizations and users will have their appetite to how much they want to use the AI, but it will definitely be more and more. To some extent, again, in the end of the day, it will take over, but I don't know if it will be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. That's a bigger question.
So maybe just to Dor's
Yeah.
point, I think the key here, and we can see great advancement. I think both Dor and I are very focused on the quantitative intelligence of AI, and we can see that skyrocketing, going through the roof. But what I think there's a lot of oversight on, and as people ask in the investment world or in the quant world are not seeing, is the advancement that is taking place on actually the emotional intelligence of AI, which is making insane leaps recently. And I think the combination of emotional intelligence with quantitative intelligence can make a massive difference in generating a genuine connection between a person and an AI agent. And that would be a true revolution. Now, there's no human on the other side, but it doesn't mean it cannot relate to you. It cannot create empathy or mimic empathy. But I don't think you would be able to know the difference anymore if there's a human or there's an AI agent on the other side.
Yes, and I think that's a very good point. And probably for the audience, could you just make an example how this might look like for investor, let's say, Shai?
Absolutely, yes. Think of it that, let's drop chat. Chat is an easy interface that has been used, because it's simple and easy, and it was the first line. Now take that interface, create a very realistic video avatar, and then there's this, an almost human face behind the screen on the other side of your screen. Now, instead of typing to that, you would just have a natural language conversation with it. And then you have an investment advisor who you are speaking to, you're conversing with. He knows you, he understands you, he's able to generate empathy. He has context about what's happening in the world on one hand and what's happening with you on the other hand. And he connects them and merges all of them into what you need. For example, if it's personalized to you, he will know that your 25th anniversary is coming up. So he'll like, look, maybe you want to put some money on the side for your upcoming anniversary. He will think about that. He will look at your pension. He will look at your mortgage. He will have complete overview of your finance, and will say, you know what? Currently, you're paying 5.5% on your mortgage, but you have this deposit of, I don't know, of $100,000 where you're only earning 4% on. And he will suggest to you, look, I'm considering your circumstances, and actually it's worthwhile for you to pay off that mortgage because currently you're basically losing money for nothing. So this is a completely personal experience because he understands you, he knows you, he has temporal context, about yourself and your environment as well.
Yes. Thank you, Chef, for the example. If I can put the emotions on top of it that you were describing before, I would say that in this case, your assistant will have every single day a good day, right, to speak to you. They were not like trapped in a traffic jam like a banker saying, I was late because XYZ, but he's always available with a smile and making this human emotional touch, right? That is very important. I think that also in your example, we can add that. And or where you see probably the areas that this innovation of AI can be exploited, or you're looking at that as well, that it's not touched yet, because as Shai said, people are very focusing in just the chat and answering there, but this is bigger picture than just that, let's say, the chat.
So again, it would be, I mean, I think that everyone that listened to me speaking on BridgeWise heard it before. It will be a 360 kind of holistic support. A chat would be one tool, but potentially, as we already see it, by the way, it could be an avatar that you can speak with either on the phone or in a quote unquote Zoom call. And you can even design their voice or appearance as you like, or as the bank thinks or the broker thinks is the best fit. Yeah, so it would be there definitely, and I think everyone would agree that, as Shai mentioned, for example, the 25th anniversary. Okay, who and again, between you, myself, Shai, and of course the audience, never again forgotten about some kind of my friend the birthday or something like that. The AI will never forget. Because again, it's scalable. I'm a human. I'm not an AI, and we know that we humans has more tendency to mistakes and to forget things. Again, the AI ability to personalize at scale in a better way, and also in your time. So, for example, again, the service will be fully personalized, not only by again the taste of your investments, whether you have mortgage or deposit, but when do you have time? When you walk the dog, for example, so you have like extra 10 minutes to pick up a call with your AI advisor, and I can keep on going. I think that's the idea that we all try to convey here. I don't want to sound too repetitive, but it will be bigger and faster than we expect.
Yeah, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Chef, for the insights. Now I think we need to move the next section with the Q&A, and they're very interesting questions. And there is one, we're gonna kick off this for both of you, whichever wants to answer first, is what impact do you think AI will have on the provision of research in capital markets, US versus Europe, institutional versus private investor?
Shai, you want you to start or shall I?
Shai, sorry, you are on mute.
Thank you. So when it comes to research, unfortunately for us humans, this is where AI excels. And I think we're looking at a complete overhaul.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, it's where it shines best. I can share with you that I yesterday, just by way of example, we're developing a new feature, and to do that new feature, I need to do market research. I need to understand what everyone's doing. I need to understand ideas. I need to read academic papers. There's a whole plethora of work that needs to be done. Would usually take me, before AI, would take me a week. It took me 30 minutes to write the initial prompt and initiate deep research. Deep research took another 30 minutes. And then I think I will need another 2 hours to complete the work. So we took 1 week of work and just shrunk it into a 4-hour time frame. And this is what's going to happen to research. Way more, way faster, way better than any human can do. And when it comes to US versus Europe, that's down to regulation. We need to see how the different regulators will deal dissemination of AI-driven research. They will limit it for obvious reasons, but how the impact will be differentiated, again, that's a nuanced answer that I can't answer unless I start really understanding where the SEC on one hand and where ESMA on the other hand are going.
Yeah. And Dor?
Yeah, naturally, BridgeWise, anyone in BridgeWise is biased, and that because again, you see that BridgeWise speaks of itself as an again AI investment intelligence. It's the why and how and the how is on both ways. How it's made and how, even more importantly, it's served, okay, or how it's consumed. Because when you think about research, if I say equity research, what would you think about? A 10, 15 page PDF report, same way, served in one language mostly, not interactive. You know, it is what it is. It's the same product for the last 20, 30 years. Back then it was printed, now it's PDF. But it's no longer that. Again, research, investment research was made, the job to be done was to take data, analyze it, and provide insight or some kind of recommendation on or thesis about that asset. Okay. So the why is the same. People still want to get that thesis, that idea of that asset. Okay, that's why the research is made. Or again, just like I said, research is being made for a reason. You need the thesis on why and how to do specific things. Yeah. The how, of course, is changing dramatically. Where again, 20 years ago, you had to go through the papers. Then you had Excels or things like that, or then some more developed softwares. And now, of course, AI can demolish these kind of old ways or traditional ways of doing it. But again, even more importantly, the way it's served and consumed is the most, let's say, it's the biggest upgrade. Because let's say, Dor, if I like to read 3, 4, 5 sentences, I would get it my way. Another person, let's say in Japan, because Japan, by culture, they like to read more text. So Japanese investors would get a deeper overview about that. So again, everyone would not only create research or create insights or wisdom in some way, in a different way, more upgraded, more attractive, and more, of course, efficient, but also the way we consume that data or these insights will change, and the impact will be dramatic. I believe that traditional research houses, again, they'll have to make some adjustments to their either business models or their way of let's say business conduct, because again, the margins will go different, the demand will be different, so it will definitely have to.
No, it's evolve or cease to exist. I think Dor is very, very subtle.
I'm
My
trying to
view
be.
is,
I'm
I
trying to
know.
be polite. Yeah.
Yeah, and said, but no, I think either you evolve, if you are in research, if you're in advice, if you're in wealth management, if you are in consulting, it's either evolve or cease to exist in the next 3 to 5 years. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, but I would say, that's just allow me to be the devil's advocate here. But the technology AI is based in content and past data, right? So you need actually human beings to build the content to be able to AI to extract this content and this kind of wisdom to leverage this. So what will your view on this?
Correct. So I agree, but as I said, you need to evolve, right? That evolution is important. Now, if you're looking at, let's talk about investment research, right? It is based on the fundamentals released by a company, for example. That on these, let's say some company releases its interim results and it's a document of 10,000 words. The analyst will write 10 million words on top of it to explain it and analyze it. AI can do that for you. And then on these 10 million words, someone will come and read that and have a different view. And then another 100 million words will be written on top of that. So as long as you have the core that is being created, which is economic data by governments, releases by companies, so when companies do their releases or announcements, as long as you have that core that is being created, then the creation of information, the creation of data will continue. It just the producer will be different, and that's it. So I have no worries about lack of content. I actually think the opposite. I think we're going to see an explosion of content, because if in the past it would take you a day to write an essay, you can write a few sentences, a few paragraphs, interact with an LLM, and you will produce it in a span of 2 hours. So you will see an explosion of content. Now, quality is something different. In order to drive quality, that is not easy, but you can see the evolution, and you can see the rate of evolution, which is between scary and alarming.
Let's go back to the research and following question that we have from the audience of this research that I have seen it. They have, I think, Excel 97 when I start using Excel, still in this research template. I don't know, Windows Excel 97. But so jumping from there to, let's say, well, the question is, what would be the value of Bridget versus ChatGPT? And I think would be more to Dor, that question.
So the differentiation are the core differentiations of BridgeWise. Again, one is the know-how. Okay, I'll start first with the access to data, and most importantly, reliable data. Of course, ChatGPT can now browse on the web and go and scrape data, but it's not always coming from reliable data sources. Whereas in the BridgeWise ecosystem, of course, Bridget as one of the components, every data point that goes into the platform is not only reliable but also validated, because we are working only with big data sources. So this is one. Second is, again, the know-how. An LLM that is trained for everything cannot do a good of a job like a language model that is trained for a specific thing. Sorry about that. Sorry, yeah. So is the LLM will do a good work, but not like, again, a language model that can do a specific niched, again, research. And third, and most importantly, and I think it also answers another question that is there, the regulation, the fact that BridgeWise is fully compliant, both with, for example, the AI Act, but even more importantly, it has no hallucinations. The way our language model is built takes the hallucinations risk to absolute zero, and we commit to it. And that's a game changer. No financial institution or service provider that respects itself, of course, and has I'd say a normal kind of risk management procedures, would take the risk of hallucinations facing clients, both on the regulation side, but even more importantly, on the business side, because losing the client's trust is the worst thing that can happen to a financial service provider, and being able to control that risk and take it to zero is super important. So these three factors, I hope it answers the question, but these three factors are the core differentiators.
Good. Thank you, Doc. And I think probably that's one interesting in terms of innovation. I know that you both are based in Tel Aviv, in the center of innovation of AI and technology, but where do you think they will be deployed faster? Will be in Asia, Europe, US? In which region do you think? Or it doesn't matter because you are looking at global, right? eToro is a global company, BridgeWise becoming global company as well. Where do you see?
Go, Dor. Yes.
I see it pretty much all across the globe. Naturally, where, again, BridgeWise specifically, where we see the language barrier comes in, and of course the long tail of the market is big, relatively speaking. So countries like Japan, again, APAC, naturally Europe with a language barrier, and of course countries like Brazil and the Gulf and these kind of countries like GCC and MENAT, etc. These are markets where it's easier for the AI to provide extra and tangible value. But I can tell you, even on more developed markets, we are having more and more demand, because, again, it comes from the consumers in the end of the day. If service providers get demand from their clients, they'll go for it. They have no other option, because just like Shai mentioned, it's either you know, they need to go forward, otherwise they'll go backward. There's no middle point there.
So my view is very, if we're looking because of young demographics, combination of young demographics, innovation and adoption of technology, I think it will come from China, actually. I think the Chinese are in many ways way, way ahead of us in so many aspects. And you can see that the government is, you know, there's a benefit to a very centralist government, and there is a huge benefit in my view. But of course, they have their limitation. It will be very biased. It will be censors. So there are limitations there. But I think China is still my best bet of the adoption rate, the highest adoption rate, and we'll see it evolve as fast.
Yeah, but how do you see, you mentioned that there were like a few things that you see that they are at the forefront of the AI revolution. Where do you see this, let's say the top two that you have in top of your mind that really distinguish them like a really moving fast than anyone else?
Are you referring to countries or trends?
Yeah, the country, China being like the main country to go really pretty fast in AI tools.
So
because
I think we're looking a lot at China and the US, and I don't think we're surprised. They have the brain power, they have the computing power. They're making investments both at the private sector level, but also at the government level at scale that that other countries just don't have that the same scale. They just don't have that capability. And the US, both are suffering from a limitation of power. So if you listen to Eric Schmidt, ex-Google, and others, you understand that the main currently hurdle for taking AI to the next level is lack of energy. So in the US, they're talking about the requirement of another 12 gigawatts of energy available by 2030. Just by way of comparison, one nuclear reactor can produce 1 gigawatt. There is no way anyone can build 5 nuclear reactors in the US in 5 years. That just doesn't happen. So I think energy is something that will curb growth unless they find a solution for it. And I think a lot of very smart people are working to find a solution because it's a strong limitation.
Agree.
Great. So thank you with that, and with that energy of this panel. I have to thank you to the audience to be here. It was quite numerous today. And I have to thank you, Shai, for attending from eToro and sharing his insights, and Dora Ligura from BridgeWise. It was very interesting webinar. If you have further questions, get back to us. We're going to share the webinar later on. And I wish you all a good day. And thank you for participating in this webinar. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Shai.
Very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shai. Thank you, Daniel.